Welcome to the Inferno Cast. Today's guest is a 6th-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and also has a black belt in Judo. He won the Pan American Games and also is a 2-time International Master Seniors gold medalist. He owns Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu Club, Mr. Marcus Vinicius. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm awesome. How are you doing?
I'm great. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. You have a lot of good stories and a very wide background of kind of how you've ended up where you are. And I'm really hoping to highlight some of those fun stories. We kind of got connected through a mutual friend, Scott Kahn, that I talked to a couple weeks ago, and he told me some great stories about you. So I'm glad that I got to reach out and meet you, and maybe we'll tell some funny stories on him too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so back to the beginning. You actually started in Judo instead of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Yeah. It's very common in Brazil, like the kids going to judo, boys going to judo, girls going to dance, like after school program, So I end up in judo with 5 years old. Then since that, I never stopped.
That's
become my life.
I've heard a lot of people that started in Judo at a young age and then transitioned to Jiu-Jitsu. How long did you do Judo before you made the transition yourself?
I was a brown belt in judo. I was since 5 up to 18 in judo, pretty much non-stop.
Oh, wow.
Judo in Brazil, it's very serious, very hard, not easy at all.
Yeah.
And then when I went to university to become a judo coach, I went to University of Physical Education. Then I met the jiu-jitsu guys with the same goal, become a jiu-jitsu coach and graduate in physical education to become the best as I could.
So you were increasing.
Go ahead.
So you were increasing your education outside of the martial arts by going to university to learn about physical education to complement what you were doing in the martial arts.
Yes. It's very common in Brazil. All the former athletes, going for physical education school to become a coaches. In Brazil, you cannot just get a black belt and become a coach. Not because you play basketball your whole life, you become a coach. You have to go to the university to physical education, get your degree, and then you can be a coach.
So you were a student of martial arts, and then you become a student of physical education, and then you become a student of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So basically, you've spent your whole life being a student.
Yes, I mean, I've been a student forever, man. I'm here to learn. I'll be learning forever.
So how was it whenever you first got into the jiu-jitsu? Because you've been doing judo for most of your life. In your world, you just see it as like Nawaza work. How different was that experience? Were you kind of shocked and surprised? Had you maybe heard about jiu-jitsu before?
Yeah, look, first of all, I always enjoyed surfing, in back in the days in Brazil. And then when I started looking at some magazines from Rio de Janeiro, between the surfing page, I started to see jiu-jitsu guys. I'm like, what are those guys doing here? And they all look mean, they all look tough, and I just passed through. Sometimes I start reading, who is this guy? Talk about Marcelo Bering, they talk about Cássio Cardoso, then I start open my eyes. I see the surf industry and the jiu-jitsu industry was kind of together, since way back in the days, And then I started to see, training with the guys at university. I remember first I saw some kids in jiu-jitsu doing kick-off, pushing other kids away by kicking off, the old school jiu-jitsu kick-off. Like, what? These are kicking each other. What kind of jiu-jitsu is that?
You're thinking like, it almost looks like a terrible Tominagi failure, It's like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, and then I saw like a couple guys in university. I really remember that when I opened the door of the dojo, I saw 2 guys with those big Speedos.
Oh, yeah.
The other, one guy with the hands behind his back, getting smacked in the face right and left. And after like 10 times, they changed. The other guy switched it, put his hands back, and the other guy started smacking him in the face like 10 times with open hand, open palm. I'm like, what the heck is that? So they're jiu-jitsu guys,
Right.
Then I started hanging out with some of them, and then I'm like, dude, I'm a judo guy, but I love a ground game. That's not new for me. So bring it on.
Was there a lot of Nawaza when you were doing judo coming up?
Yes, I think everything depends on your coach, right? You can't teach what you don't know, right? And my coach from judo, he's always teach us in Newaza, chokes, army locks, and everything. And also put us without the gi and smacking each other as well. Since a teenager. We don't see that in judo often, And my coach was play games like that, to give us the courage, to become a man.
Yeah.
If you want to step out of the mat, you could step out. If you want to stay, exchange open hand, on the back, you could stay until the end. That's how I grew up.
So you came up in, in kind of a hardcore judo style. So making the transition to jiu-jitsu is probably not that difficult as far as just the training part. The physical training was probably not as difficult. The technical piece, how was it learning the techniques and the details? Did it come naturally or was it a struggle?
No, I was very lucky because when I really decide, that's what I want, I have to learn jiu-jitsu for real. Not only fool around in somebody's, backyard or, some terrace. No, I have to go to the gym, find the masa and do it for real. Then on my neighborhood, everybody was pointing me to Master Mansur, Kyoto Jiu-Jitsu, So I came from University Gama Filho Jiu-Jitsu. Master Alfredo Dornelles is like my mentor since a really young age, And then I ended up in Kyoto Jiu-Jitsu at Master Mansur. So the first day I was welcome with my homies, and the Master Mansur said, okay, let me see what you have. Master Mansur is such a tough guy, man. And just to throw me to the lions, Roll with this guy, roll with that guy, roll with this guy. He called me back, say, you're not a white belt. You can't be a white belt. And he gave me my blue belt on the day one.
Oh, wow.
The day one, he gave me my blue belt. He loved the way that I approached the gym. He loved the way that I approached jiu-jitsu, And then since that, he's become my other mentor, And the other way, in the other patch, I got Master Mansur also as my mentor and also all my teammates at Kyoto Jiu-Jitsu Brazil.
So if you had to pick one or two things that you feel like Professor Mansour has really inspired you with, what do you feel like are a couple principles that he has kind of taught you that you have adhered to that you're like, this has really guided a lot of decisions in my life?
And I can't say only Master Mansur because the influence come very early in the days with Master Alfredo in judo. Since a young age, when you see a master and his lifestyle, his attitudes, and all the people respecting him, he's well known in the community, then you start admiring him, it's inspire you, in the same way as a Master Mansur, So Master Mansur, when I go into tournaments, I see all the Gracies talk to him. He's one of the hero Gracies, back students back in the days, like one of the first black belts from Hito Gracie, and all my masters, taking care of us like a sons is way beyond the mat, is way beyond the army locks and takedowns. And, that's how I learned it. We always be in a family, and that's how I teach.
That makes sense, you look up to these guys, they influence your life, and it becomes a relationship beyond just, I go here to learn some moves. It becomes a relationship of a mentor for your life to where they're influencing you, not only in your decisions on the mat, but some of your decisions off the mat as well.
In America, it's different, like the Americans, not all of them, okay? So they don't get that philosophy of martial arts, because they have like a coach. Okay, if today I pay you, you're my coach. Tomorrow I pay another guy, he become my coach, having nothing to do with you. So we can't do like that in Brazil. The influence in our lives are so huge, so then we become a family.
Yeah. So when was it you decided to come to America?
I was in Brazil, and look, I'm a martial art worker. Okay, I do everything. Now I competed still. You know, if I get in shape in the tournament coming up, I'll do it. And I referee since a young age. Referee jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA. You know, all kind of refereeing. You know, I used to teach from the little kids in the preschool and the minimum size room, you know, up to a huge room full of people, from nobody to celebrities, you know, and this is my life. You know, I organize events, small events, big events, and that's what I do. This is my whole life. It's been like this. So when I was in Rio, I felt like I was on top. I had nowhere else to go. I used to teach in the best gyms in Rio de Janeiro, the best private schools in Rio de Janeiro, best neighborhood. And then I met Joe Moreira. You know, in my career, I met Joe Moreira running an event called Copa Atlântico Sul, the jiu-jitsu. So all the top guys back in the days fought our event. Now we are the best event in Brazil back in the days. Okay? And from Copa Atlântico Sul, myself, Claudio França, and Joe Moreira, you know, me and Claudio trained together at Kyoto. We went to university together, start helping Joe to run the events, and we all become partners. And at the one point in our lives in Brazil, Joe got invited to come to California and teach. And then Joe said, Marcos, I'm leaving my gym here in your hands. Take care of my gym. I'm going to California to teach. Then I'm going to open the door for us. You know, he came way back in the days. And then I used to teach everywhere in Rio de Janeiro, to many, many places. I was a well-known teacher in Brazil, you know. And then in a few days in America, Joe Moreira invited me. You should come here and take a look, see if you like it. I want you to come here and work here. Then I first came in 1995. I went to Japan first to train at the Kodokan Judo Center for 1 month.
How was that experience?
That was amazing. I was doing judo morning, afternoon, and evening, sleeping judo, eating judo, breathing judo, you know, for the whole month. I was in best shape of my life, you know. And then I came to California and started work with Joe. After 6 months, my wife and son couldn't get a visa in Brazil to come to meet me. They got stuck in Brazil. So there's no life without family, right? So I left everything behind, the house in Dana Point, a beautiful house in Dana Point, you know, with the ocean view, my mats, you know, and all my U.S. career, the beginning, you know, this makes no sense without my family. So I left everything behind. I went back to Brazil. I started in Brazil again from the scratch, from the zero. I had no job, no car, no house, nothing. But I had my integrity. People knew me, you know. And, you know, Rio de Janeiro is my hometown, and didn't take even a week to get everything back.
Wow.
To get a car, to get a house, and to get a job, you know, I got everything back like this.
Well, it's very admirable that you had such a new path and a new journey with all that opportunity. And like you said, without your family, it just wasn't worth it. You know, that's indicative of somebody that understands the true value of life and what really matters, for you to walk away from all of it and go back to just starting from scratch. So how long were you back in Brazil before the transition?
I was in Brazil for a couple of years, and it's like an angel show up in my gym in Brazil. This man show up out of nowhere, watching my classes, start talking to me. I told him my story, what happened, this and that. Like, oh, we have a visa problem? I can solve that for you. I'm like, yeah, really? So how much? He's like, no, I don't want no money. Oh, this must be real, because most of the people just want to take your money. So, and this guy, somehow he got my visas, you know, a tourist visa, you know. Then I got visa for my whole family. Say, okay, now we're going together. You know, I had this in my mind. I decided to do it, you know, and after 2 years in Brazil, I said, okay, let's do it again. You know, then I came with the whole family. I have a very big resume in Brazil with the articles in the magazines, newspapers, videos, interviews, a bunch of things. So I put them all together, you know, and that's how I get my green card by special ability. You know,
Good idea.
it was really hard. The lawyer didn't believe I had everything. So they showed me 10 different items that have to prove that who I am. And I'd say you need a 10 out of 10. You need to be well known in 3 countries and these and this and that. Say, I got everything. You know, I put everything together. I sent to the immigration and they gave me my green card. That's how it started.
That's an amazing story, you know, and that just shows that resilience of, you know, a martial artist at heart, that when people tell you it's going to be difficult or challenging, most people turn away, but you kind of rise to the occasion. So how was it whenever you came to America? Because I'm sure that in Brazil, people recognized your experience and your authority and your rank. They're like, oh, wow, you're a very talented individual. When you come to America, was it a little bit different because people, they didn't know who you were? They didn't know how big of a deal you were. Like, you know, like they couldn't measure. They're like, oh, you do jiu-jitsu? Yeah, this guy over here, he has a blue belt. He does jiu-jitsu too. Because for Americans, I know in the early days, there wasn't a lot of discernment. You know, they were just like, oh, yeah, you do it as well. So was it difficult dealing with that transition of people just having no clue who you were?
Yes, kind of. You know, the most difficult for me was the language.
Oh,
You know, the kind of the biggest worry for me, like, so look, I've been building myself to teach my whole life, right? So I can teach anyone, you know, from the poor to the rich, from the beginner to advanced. That's what I do. I never had any other job in my life, right? It's what I do. Okay. Then it would be different here, you know. But say, how can I teach at the same level that I'm teaching in Brazil, you know? And I can change my language. I can talk to you with a really bad language, really slangs and shit, you know, and I can talk to you with the highest level doctor, you know. So I have the capacity to teaching you using your language, using, you know, adapting my language to you. But how could I do that with no English, with the little English, you know? I remember one day the kid started having a bad behavior in my class, and I told him to shut up, you know, and the moms would look at me, you know, and the other guys look at me and say, Marcos, we don't say that to the kids, you know, shut up. I'm like, no, that's how I say to people to, you know, to stop talking, shut up. That's how I learned. Hey, but it's rude. We don't say like that. You know, oh, okay, okay. So I learned it, you know, I still doing my mistakes, you know, of course, but I learned it. And now I can teach. Now I can teach everyone. Now I feel very confident to teach seminars, to teach to a big crowd, to give you an interview, you know, and you know, that's how everything started.
So do you have any fun stories of when you first took over the school? Because I'm sure the American school was probably not being run as how you had run your schools in the past. I'm sure you had to make some changes, make some adjustments. You know, was there a lot of structure change where you had to go in and establish some new rules or standards?
Big time. You know, it's different when you teach in your own gym or you're going to teach in somebody else's gym, you know, and there's other classes around, you know, so, and you have to do your thing, you know. So I think it is more difficult for them to adapt it to me than to me to adapt it to them, you
You
know.
know, I've actually, that's kind of what I heard through the grapevine was there were
It's
some
more like,
struggles.
okay, that's how it is. If you like it, you're welcome. If you don't like it, the door is right there. Get out of here.
So I got to tell the story that I was talking to Scott Kahn a couple weeks ago, and he talked about how he found jiu-jitsu when he was a kid, and he was training, you know, out in Beverly Hills, and he said it was real rough and tumble. Just we'd show up and just kind of fight and just get each other, jiu-jitsu, MMA. And he's like, yeah, then this guy from Brazil showed up that was the new coach. And he's like, and I went out to class and he said, you need to face here and you need to bow. And he was like, wait a minute, bow, what? And he's like, and then here's how we're going to do the warm-ups. And he was like, warm-ups? And here's how we're going to drill. And he was like, I just like to fight. So he actually said, he's like, yeah, I just wasn't feeling that vibe. So I didn't do jiu-jitsu for a while. And then I went to Brazil and I was training with this guy and he was a friend. And he kept telling me, oh, there's this guy that just moved to America. I need to get you to train with him. He's the best in the world. This is the guy to train with. And he said, okay. And he told him where to go. And the school had moved and he showed up. And he said, it was the same instructor and it was you. And I thought that was so funny. And he told me, he said, after that day, he's like, I knew that I'd found my coach and that he was expecting a high standard out of me. And, you know, being a little bit younger, that was the piece he just didn't understand at the time. He said, but that's really served him in his jiu-jitsu career, you know, in other areas of his life as well, is because you set a very high standard of basically, here's how we conduct ourselves as martial artists. And did you have a lot of stories like that where you were kind of reforming the school or the culture of that school?
You know, Helio Soneca, Sonequinha.
That's on kid. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Sonequinha is, of course, one of our idols in Brazil from back in the days. You know, he's a great guy, great competitor. And I was teaching judo in Ipanema, and then Sonequinha show up in my classes from some of my students, you know. Hey, let's go, you know, visit my place. He's a judo guy, but he's also a jiu-jitsu guy. And Sonequinha show up, soccer show up, you know, some guys from back in the days. They are blue belts then, show up in my judo class, you know. And Bruno Evold from Kauai, he teaches in Hawaii now. So they're all young, they're all very young and show up in my class. And Sonequinha used to hate me. He told me that later on. Like, Marcos, I saw you with an attitude. You give people a hard time. You know, we go into your tournaments. You know, we always very strict with the rules, with the schedule, with the checking the weight and everything. I'm like, dude, I hate this guy, man. When then later on, he realized that I was right.
Yeah.
You know, what I was doing, it was right. I was doing the right way. You know. And then lately we become like best friends, you know. I love Sonequinha. He's a great guy. You know, he's a great teacher. And then he realized that I was right. Same happened to Scott.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's sometimes.
You know what? He's right.
Yeah.
The way he's doing, that's the way it should be.
And I think that sometimes people, because they're new into the journey or they don't have enough experience yet, they don't realize how important that structure and that discipline. I mean, it's basically just a level of performance that you expect in everything, whether it be how well you learn the technique or how well you tie your belt or take care of the other students or show respect to each other. Just like you said, it's a family and it grows so much bigger than just the martial arts on the mat. And that's kind of the structure that you were probably setting up, you know. I mean, much like the father of a household, you know, you love the kids, but at the same time, you have to be the disciplinarian at times, and they never enjoy that part. But later in life, they look back and they appreciate how important that was and how necessary it was. And that's kind of what I heard, you know, from Scott's story, because, I mean, it was real heartfelt that, you know, he really is connected with you and you've been a good influence in his life, you know, all these years. So when you started getting momentum in America, was that where you stopped? Was it like, well, I'm just going to teach you this school in California and that's it? Or did you decide to expand jiu-jitsu to other parts of the world?
Look, I knew that Los Angeles will be only my home to expand my jiu-jitsu around the world. You know, from Los Angeles, that would be easier. But I didn't have the idea then. I was just starting fresh in the US, you know, before thinking about going out and teaching seminars around the world. Of course, I had to establish myself in the US. You know, I had to establish myself in California. Okay. So Joe Moreira were here and we already started organizing events. You know, Joe Moreira Cup and many other big events. Claudio França came after us, came actually in 95. I went back, Claudio stayed, and saw us organizing events. You know, he has many events now, become a BJJ tour. in all the events in North California and in other places as well. So to establish myself in here, I just had to do my job, what I prepared my whole life for. When you trust what you do it, you just keep doing it. Even if people do differently, we don't have to change just because people do differently, because it's nicer or it's cooler, or people skip all the basics to jump to advanced because it's cool. But cool, what's wrong? So when you believe what you're doing it, you got to be consistent. You got to keep doing it, and that's what I did. I didn't change. Like Scott said, since back in the day, I didn't change. The techniques have changed. I get updated with the new techniques, of course. It will be stupid if I'm not updating my jiu-jitsu with the new guys, with the young guys, okay? But the root, the essence never change. The respect, the discipline, it never changed, okay? Jiu-jitsu without self-defense is good for nothing. Okay, jiu-jitsu without self-defense is good for you just roll and having fun. What's the matter? Then you can win medals in the tournaments. If somebody jump on you, you can't defend yourself. What are you gonna do? Pull guard on the streets? You gotta do half guard on the streets? Okay, good luck with that. Okay, so that's how I learn. That's how I believe, and that's how I do it. If you want to learn jiu-jitsu this way, come to me. A serious jiu-jitsu.
So how did you end up in Russia?
That kind of skipped some, steps to Russia. But somebody came to my gym. The gym used to be famous without me. Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu became famous because you had the best guys in the world back then, right? You step up in my gym, and you used to see Oleg Taktarov, a Russian guy, crazy leg locks, UFC champion. Bas Rutten, UFC champion, good strikes, good leg locks as well. Lots of energy, I love Bas. Marco Ruas, the name says by itself, one of the toughest men in the world, very well known in everything, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, capoeira, Muay Thai, boxing, everything. Marco Ruas, Mark Kerr, they all UFC champions. So that's what I had in my gym back in the days. So it's a lot of responsibility to me teaching, besides them, and make it work with them. So later on, they all found their way. All like become a movie star, and Bas Rutten opened his own gym, Marco Ruas opened his own gym, and everyone went to a different way. Way later, when the gym changed, one guy came to my gym visiting and started asking me, with a friend of mine, and started asking me about the gym and Oleg Taktarov, a Russian guy. I said, look, Oleg doesn't teach here anymore. We are good friends. He show up sometimes out of nowhere to teach. Let me teach. But he's not here anymore, And he's like, why there's no BJJ in Russia? Like, I don't know. If you want to invite me over, I'll be more than happy. So I was already been in Russia before. I was already been in Europe. That's what I'm saying. There's like a step. So since I got the Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu, then, I started teaching in Russia. There was a big gap, between that. But then he invited me for the first seminar 12 years ago. It was very successful. The Russians love to fight, And one of the guys from the seminar, Anatoly Azarkin, loved so much jiu-jitsu and started being with me like a full time. Say, I want to learn this. And he became my guy in Russia. He became the BJJ guy in Russia. A lot of people went to him because they knew he was learning from me and people want to learn from him. Then I started going to Russia and teaching seminars. I started teaching all over the place, and now I have my team in Russia in several different places, 7 different cities around Russia.
Yeah, I mean, because you're kind of known as the guy that brought mainstream jiu-jitsu to Russia, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're one of the pioneers that led that to spread jiu-jitsu over to that area, which is very admirable because, that's kind of been the whole goal, is for jiu-jitsu to be everywhere in the world so that everybody has access to it. And so that's very admirable. You were able to make that happen and do that transition, because I'm sure it was difficult trying to run a club, in the US and run a school and making time to travel and, spending time with those students and, organizing the information of all the schools over there that opened and everything. I mean, that's a lot of work. So, I mean, I
Yes,
doubt it was easy.
but back then I had the best guy with me, my son.
Oh, yeah.
So my son grew up on the mat with me with the classes. He went out every belt, every single belt. When he became a blue belt, and then purple belt, I started giving him the kids class. And I was on the side teaching privates, watching him teaching the kids. So he learned everything from me. He was ready. He became a great teacher.
That's
And then didn't take too long for him to start teaching adults as well. I had some black belts to cover me up, my students, but then didn't take it too long when my son was a brown belt, say, look, I'm going to Russia. I'll be back in a month. And he was running the classes full time.
That's awesome.
So I had the best guy with me, what I don't have now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they helped me big time to have my son there. Then I could do my job around the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and keeping it in the family like that, I'm sure that was very fulfilling. To see your son kind of follow up in your own footsteps to a degree, but then probably, had his own path and his own journey, like it's similar, but it's different. So that's really awesome that you were able to have that. So when you look back at the students, I mean, you've been teaching at Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu for over 20 years now. That's what, 25 years that you've been there, and you trained before that. You've been doing nothing but martial arts your whole life. Are there a couple stories of students that you just seen amazing transformations come from?
Yes. We have like I said, we're going from pro athletes to, like a nobody, so in my jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu for life, as I told you. Okay. So before I go to that, let me tell you something. I divide jiu-jitsu in three different parts. Okay. The teaching jiu-jitsu in different parts. Okay. First is knowledge. Okay, you got to teach technique, how to do it, how to make it happen, step by step. Okay, how to make the technique happen. Okay, and not only jiu-jitsu on the ground with the gi. Yeah, jiu-jitsu with the gi, jiu-jitsu no gi, takedowns no gi, takedowns with the gi, and self-defense, MMA. So that's why I tell the guys when they enjoy the journey, when they get a black belt in jiu-jitsu, they're going to have 6 black belts together. Because when you train in judo, we don't have to deal with the punches. You don't have to deal with the takedown without a gi. When you do Krav Maga, you do only self-defense. You don't have to do the ground game. So in jiu-jitsu, we incorporate pretty much everything. So it's a lot to do it, a lot to learn, and a lot to teach, right? So then you can't teach what you don't know it, right? So then people are skipping steps, they don't like a takedown, they just jump guard. Okay, our students will be jumping guard because you never teach a takedown because he doesn't know takedown, okay? Jiu-jitsu self-defense is useless. I want to train my guys just to be a world champion. Fine. Is this your job? Just what you do? Fine. When somebody jump on your guy on the streets, he won't know what to do, how to defend himself. Okay. So first, knowledge. Okay. Technique. You have to build yourself really, really big to be able to attend your students. Okay. Second, it's physical. Jiu-jitsu, it's physical, okay? So, and you have to know anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, to be able to, to work with the people's body. It's your responsibility. I've been in a place and the class starts and everybody walks on the mat and they do whatever they want. Like, what's going on? Oh, it's a warm-up. What warm-up? Oh, they do whatever. If you want to jump rope, you jump rope. If you want to do push-ups, you do push-ups. If you want to do, like, where's the teacher? Where's the coach? They're not doing his job, So it's a physical. We have to prepare your body to do it. You have to do a warm-up. You have to do, I do circuit training. People have to get in shape. That's what they're there for. They come to you because the gym is boring. That's why they come to you. You have to give them a good physical exercise, get them ready to go for life, not only to fight jiu-jitsu. Take care of their health, all right? And the third part, take care of the mental aspect, okay? It's very cool to say, oh, jiu-jitsu give you self-confidence. Oh, jiu-jitsu give you self-discipline. Oh, jiu-jitsu give you this, jiu-jitsu give you this. Really? How? Show me. Tell me how you make that happen. Explain it to me. How you make that happen in your class. Explain it to me how you make the kids improve his physical capacities, his balance, his coordination. Don't say, oh, jiu-jitsu improving balance and coordination. Really? How? Show me. Right? It's really cool to say, but if you don't have the tools to do it, you can't make it happen. Right? Special in the mental aspect of jiu-jitsu. Okay? So I have done this with my students so many times. That's what I did to transform my students' life, for them to have a better life, become a better human being. Right? And then I've been doing that since a young age. Okay. Now with the social media now, I can talk to people who had a class with me when I was 18, 17, teaching judo, and now they run their families, their father, they have a job, they have a wife, they have kids. I say, thank you, Sensei, for all the advice you gave to me back in the days to make me the man that I am now and all of that. Not only Scots, not only anyone in special, but all of them. Okay, that's what I do for all of them. Okay, when they get on the mat with me, there's no celebrity, there's no rich, no poor. They're just my students, they're just my family, and that's what I do.
Man, I love that you have a structured approach of how you're influencing people, of breaking it into the 3 steps and making that a priority. And then the second part that I really value is you asking how are people achieving those 3 goals. Don't just say it, like, break it down for me. It's no different than an armbar. It's one thing saying that an armbar. It's another thing when you show me step by step how to do that armbar. And when you apply that to these different attributes that you're giving your students, that's such a phenomenal approach that I see why you're getting the results you're getting. Is there any students that you've seen a transformation in over the years that I'm sure you're proud of all of them, but are there any standouts that you could tell us a little short story about?
I had a kid. He actually was a Russian kid from a wealthy family. And the first day, the kid didn't even step inside the gym. He was outside and grabbed his mom's leg and crying. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then mom got embarrassed. Like, Mom, don't worry. Relax. It's going to happen. And then little by little, I told the mom to not give up, bring him in. And little by little, I brought him from outside to stand on the seat on the seats and help me, holding something for me in the class. And then later on, I say, look, why are you going to get on the mat without the uniform? It doesn't look good. I put a uniform on him, and I completely changed his life. And he was scared of everything, was just, And then one day his father showed up and the kid was fighting. He was a white belt, fighting back against a yellow belt. And they're really fighting, intense. The father looked at that outside, like, wow, is that my son fighting? You know? So after that, after, a couple of years, the family moved, they went back to Russia, they traveled the world. But I'm sure that what I did for the kids, that will be forever.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do. You
Yeah.
know,
I
I
think a
got
lot
a
of,
big teenager, out of shape, really, really big, out of shape, with no self-confidence. Every three words he said, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry." He was kind of so worried about everything. We got him from young teenager to the gym for after many, many years. We just changed his life. He became a blue belt and started fighting and started tapping some adults. It was a big change in his life. And his father even, did a testimonial for the gym. His father was crying in the
mm,
testimonial. He became like so emotional for how much the gym touched in his son's life. And I love that.
that's amazing. Those are amazing stories. And I love to hear those transformations because I feel like there's people out there that have achieved that and they've influenced people on that level and they understand what you're saying and they value it. And then I think there's those younger coaches that don't quite have those stories yet. Like they're influencing people to that degree because they're a younger coach and they're on the floor, but they haven't seen the results of how much they can influence those students. And then I think you have your underbelts of people that are just students themselves and they don't see themselves as a leader or able to inspire or help anybody yet, but they're going to grow into that. And I think that you telling those stories kind of gives a snapshot for people to see what is to come with their jiu-jitsu journey, because even if you don't run a school or you teach classes regularly, when you become a high rank, you're a teacher, you're an instructor. You start influencing the students just by training with them. So everybody's going to have that opportunity to influence somebody in a positive way like that. That's very
Yeah,
awesome.
I have to disagree with you a little bit. Okay, I like that.
I like it. Yeah.
Not because you become a higher belt, that means you become a teacher. That's what the people get wrong. Okay? You become a higher belt yourself. Do you really have the ability to teach? Do you really have the skills to teach? What you understand about anatomy, psychology, kinesiology, and all of that to teach?
Good point.
Do you know how to do first aid? If somebody break an arm in your gym, do you know what to do? If somebody get choked out and unconscious in your gym, you know what to do? So if you really want to be a teacher, prepare yourself. If you want to take that as a career, prepare yourself. You don't play with the people's life. You don't play with the people's body and mind, right? So we have to be professional. Not only because you didn't succeed well in the other job, and you become a black belt, like, oh, I'm gonna open the school, I'm gonna be a teacher, right? Like I said, you can't teach what you don't know it.
Right. I
If you
definitely, I
if you don't
definitely
know
agree with you.
how to influence people, how?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. If you're going to open a school and be a head instructor, that you definitely have to make the investment in all those areas to know that and to learn that. But would you say that whenever people are training and rolling with lower ranks, that there's moments of, hey, here's a detail that I use, or, hey, don't get too rough on yourself. I mean, I've been training a lot longer than you. I'll show you some moves or techniques. Do you feel like that there's those influences within the culture of a school where people are kind of learning and absorbing from each other as well?
Oh, definitely. We're family. We're there to help each other. I always tell to the higher ranked students, they have to take care of the new students.
Right.
They have to welcome the new students, not beat them up, but help them to grow, help them to understand and learn the game. Okay.
Yeah.
But what happened then, we have to make sure they learning the right thing in the right time. Okay. So
Right.
there's a lot of things now, especially with the technology, with social media, even before that, with the DVDs and a bunch of things that gave you shortcuts to people, to learn the techniques. And the shortcut can be a danger, you know. So when I teach a group class, example, okay, if I have 20 guys in the class, right? So after they warm up, okay, and the warm up and the workout, okay, warm up doesn't mean workout. Warm up means you get ready to work out. Okay? So after the warm up and the workout, okay, so I give them a water break. When they come back from the water break, I divide the class in many different groups. Okay, what I see the most, people teach the same technique to everyone. How can you get on the mat and teach the same technique from the white belt, blue belt, brown belt, purple belt? Teach them the same thing. They're not at the same level. It's the same if you go to school and you put the first grade, second grade, fifth grade, seventh grade, and teach them the same subject, the same thing. It makes no sense, right? So then I go there, white belts, beginner, we're gonna do this, 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 and this. Blue belts or white belts with more experience, we'll do this, this, and this. Blue belts, you do this technique here. I break down the class and give them what they need to grow in the right time. And not only jump on the mat and teach my favorite techniques for everybody, you know? And people grow with the jiu-jitsu with the full of holes. No self-defense or no takedowns, or you see white belts right away, jump guard, and jump guard is illegal for white belt in the rules. Some place, some organization, some are not. They jump guard, grab the pen, they do half the La Riva, you know, and they try to do, or lapella guard, you know, and they're white belts. They haven't learned a lot yet. How come a white belt can fight like that? You know, okay, he went to that level to fight jiu-jitsu sport, but I'm sure he missed a lot. I'm sure he missed a lot. So it's gonna build his game, and one day he'll become a black belt, okay, with the limited information than he wants to teach, right? So then we build more and more generations of teachers with a limited technique. Okay, forget about old school, new school. It's all jiu-jitsu. It's all jiu-jitsu. Okay, of course it is old tricks, new tricks. Yes. Okay, but to learn the new tricks, you have to learn the old tricks first.
I like that.
You have to build a foundation. Okay, or it's gonna fall off. You know, your house is gonna break apart. Very simple. I was teaching a class in somebody else's gym, and I saw the students fight, you know, and they try to do all the high level stuffs. I was watching them. I'm like, all right, and stop the fight, please. You lay down on your back. You get him in the mount position, full mounted position. Okay, escape. And the guys are bumping left and right and this and that, and had no idea how to do one correct escape of the mount position. All right? Because why wasting time learn how to escape off the mount if you can do a berimbolo? All right? So berimbolo is awesome, you know, but you have a lot to do, a lot to learn before you get there.
So you're looking at it as, you know, so you're looking at this as like a well-rounded, structured educational process versus, you know, a hodgepodge of information of, well, you will naturally figure out how the positions flow versus, no, here's exactly how the positions flow. Step one, step two, you know, this position, these fundamentals. How do you prioritize what needs to come first for low ranks?
Look, you have to build a foundation. The foundation, you have to learn how to fall, break and falls. That's what you do in judo. We're teaching everyone. You do that also as a warm-up, how to break and falls. Most jiu-jitsu guys, they don't know it. They don't do it, right? So basic throws and takedowns. Okay, your opponent will walk in the different directions. We need you to throw and takedowns in the different directions. Your opponent is big and stronger and heavier than you. We have to go with him wherever he'll go and find a way to take him down that way. It's not doing the throw that you want. In jiu-jitsu, you don't do what you want. You do what you can. What the fight gives to you. Okay? So you have to learn the first way to open the guard, to pass in the guard. After pass the guard, your attacks from side control. Okay? Basically, the first place where the top guy will be after pass your guard, you'll be side control. Right? What you need to learn escapes of the side control. Okay? When I argue with people, I say, look, show me escape of the side control. They show me one escape. Say, all right, now show me a different one. I don't know. You don't know? You're purple belt and you know one or two escapes of the side control. I teach my white belts 12 escapes of the side control. Depends on this way, with underhook, without underhook, hugging the neck, not hugging the neck, which door is open, which door is closed. Okay? So that's what happened now. People try learning too fast. People try skipping steps, and then the jiu-jitsu become full of holes.
Oh, and then that makes total sense.
It's time to learn, man. There's no shortcut.
And when you look at it from an educational perspective, like how a lot of schools are structured in higher level education, it makes total sense because learning theory is fundamentally the same regardless of what the subject material is. And, and I feel like that's what your approach is illustrating, is a structured way to give people this subject material in a time and a cadence almost that is relevant to their understanding and comprehension of jiu-jitsu, which I think is probably, and that's a reflection of the success you've had with your athletes and your students, because you've trained a lot of top level guys and you've had champions in multiple types of martial arts, whether it be MMA, jiu-jitsu, you have a hodgepodge of backgrounds of just being a professional educator, and I really feel like it shows. So which brings me to, we're talking about students learning techniques and how to teach them well. So that takes me to some of your higher profile clients, because like you get to train a lot of guys that are, they're actors or they're business CEOs, people that are highly successful in other areas of their life. How do you feel that people that have a high level of success in other areas of life do in jiu-jitsu? Do you feel like it transitions over of, the hard work and the focus and the diligence, or do you feel that there's a disconnect?
No, there's a many different ways, There's a people very focused and very serious in how to learn, and they, of course, they're intelligent people, it's make it easier. Of course, jiu-jitsu intelligent sport, you have to understand what's going on, not only do it. It doesn't work like that. My jiu-jitsu doesn't work like that. I always tell them, or you know what you're doing or you don't. There's no middle term. You know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing. Okay, simple as that, right? And they're there to learn. They're there to listen. Okay? I had one guy who's been a CEO or something like that at his company. And when I started telling him what to do, he started questioning. So why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? And of course, I gave him the answers. I said, yeah, but I want to do like this. I want to do like that. Say, look, when I go to your office and I trust you as a CEO and I want to do business with you, I don't tell you what to do. I go there because I trust you. I expect you to know what to do. Okay? When you come to my office, you don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. That's how it works here.
Yeah.
It's like, and he realized, he was in a place where he wasn't a boss. I was the boss.
Right. And the boss can choke you in your office.
Yeah. And in the beginning, he didn't like that. He didn't like it at all. Actually, that's become a very interesting client to me because I got him a blue belt in my gym, full of holes in his game. Okay. So I built him up as a good blue belt. Only private students. Is an older guy. Okay. So he became a blue belt, purple belt, brown belt with me. I test all my students for their belts.
That's an interesting topic.
No test, no belt. Okay. You know what to do or you don't know what to do.
So when you structure your tests, how are your tests structured? Is it?
Let me get there. Let me
Okay,
finish this.
okay, we're getting there.
And then this guy, actually I can say his name, Richard Cohen. Okay. He's working like a financial stuff, investments and stuff. One day I came to his private class and say, Richard, you know what? There's a Pan American Championship coming up. Then you're gonna fight. He's like, are you kidding me? I never even been in a group class. How you want me to fight the Pan Ams? Are you out of your mind? No, you're gonna fight your age group, your weight division, and your belt. And I trust your jiu-jitsu. I trust you. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you to do it. Then he's like, seriously? I say, yes, let's do it. And he got nervous. He went crazy, started sweating. And class after class, I start bringing people from the group class to roll with him and start building him a strategy, a competition strategy. Look, your game, you're good on this, you're good on that. That's what you're going to bring there. Okay. And I prepare him for the Pan Ams. The guy now is like over 60. He really, late in the age, first tournament ever, brown belt. All right. So to make it short, he went there, he fought, he lost first fight by one advantage. He fought the same guy in the open division. They came back. He won the second fight by 2 points. So he got out of there with 1 gold and 1 silver. So in the same day, he learned how to lose and how to win.
Beautiful.
And he got out of there and said, Marcos, you changed my life. Thank you so much to make me go through this big challenge in this moment of my life. I will never forget, So that's something, and I'm sure he'll never forget, be part of his life. He put the big poster in his office with him, raised his arm with the gold medal, in the Pan American Championship in California, and that's what I do, man. Competing is not, that's what I do. I change their lives, on the mat.
Yeah. That's an amazing story of taking somebody, like you said, that was used to being in a leadership role, found a way to being a student, and then you empowered him to do something that he, didn't plan on doing, didn't maybe feel capable of doing, and you put him in a position to show himself what he was made of. That's an amazing story. It really is.
Yeah.
So
and I've done that so many times.
absolutely. With a lifetime of being an instructor, I don't doubt it. So to the testing. So you look at things of there needs to be a test for the transition of rank. Is that on stripes as well, or just color belts?
No, look, stripes, I give the stripes for the attendance on the class and the performance on the class, okay, and see if his students really improving. So when you get the 3 or 4 stripes, I say, you're ready for the test. It's coming up, do your review. For a blue belt test, example, okay, I want to see 10 different ways to pass the guard, 10 different sweeps, 10 different chokes, 10 different arm locks, 10 different throws and takedowns with their names, of course, and self-defense.
Yeah.
Right? It's basic. If you don't know this, how can you become a blue belt?
Right. So what do you feel are the negatives of not having a formal test?
Look, when you give your student a test, you make him feel he earned his belt. When you just call him in one special day and charge him a belt fee, he didn't do anything different from yesterday to today or the day of he will receive his belt. Just go there and shake his hand and and give him a hug. So, okay, now on your blue belt. It's like, really? Am I? Okay. All right. You want your blue belt? Come here. Show me what you get. And the same time on the test is a big chance for me to see what he's missing, not pretty much what he's knowing, but what he's missing. And then I can give him what he's missing right there on the test. I correct very little points on the test. I'm a very annoying guy, trust me. Okay? You know? But then he become a better fighter after the test. I'm sure every single one of them after the test, you'll become better.
Yeah.
And some of them is unpleasant for me, but some of them fail.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees.
So what do you think about podium rank? Whenever people are like, you won the tournament, you're on the podium, you get the next belt.
Look, that's like I told you before. So he did one part of jiu-jitsu really well. He won a jiu-jitsu tournament. He proved in front of the other students from other gyms, right? He's on the same level as a jiu-jitsu sport, right? So hopefully they're the same guy who got his belt because he's succeeding in jiu-jitsu sport. He also learned self-defense and other aspects of jiu-jitsu at his gym.
So
right?
the competition does not encompass all that we have to measure within jiu-jitsu. So there's other pieces that you have to make sure are checkboxed.
For my understanding, yes.
Right. Yeah. For a full system, which I mean, I can respect that because, you know, your viewpoint on the art and the style, because it goes back to what you said, is you run your organization as a family, which means you're educating your students as you would educate a family, which is going to be, you know, in multiple facets of information, where I'm not just going to show you just sport. I'm not going to show you just self-defense. You're giving them a well-rounded education of jiu-jitsu and all that it can encompass, and having a measured, structured system with a testing and requirements to move forward to make sure that all these areas are covered. I mean, that makes very logical sense. It really does.
Yeah, so a lot of people prefer another way, the shortcut, you know?
Right.
So look, it's nothing wrong with some gyms that are focused in tournament. The student doesn't care if something happened, they'll be able to defend themselves or not. They just want to win medals. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's by choice.
Just different. And I think that's where it goes back to probably picking a gym or a coach. You know, do you ever talk with people about that, of finding the gym and the coach you're looking for?
Yes, definitely. If I see students come to me and his focus is become a world champion, you know, in every single belt, and I see he has a potential, you know, and I can't give him enough, okay? To be a champion, you need a lot of good training partners. It's not pretty much about yourself. It's about your training partners. You need a big team behind you to make it happen, okay? If at one point I feel like I'm not able to give my student what he needs, I'm going to point him to another direction.
Well, that's very admirable that, you know, you basically have the experience to, you know, to put somebody on a different track to help them achieve their goals. I mean, that really says a lot about your character, that it's not about you being their coach. It's about them reaching their goals.
The only thing is that I don't like it when they are leaving without talk to me.
Right.
You know, that's why you have that in jiu-jitsu, that creonte thing.
Yeah.
Right? Look, there's nothing wrong in switch gyms.
Yeah.
Right? But doing right.
Yeah.
You know, come to your coach who told you for many years, you know, say, coach, this happened. What do you think? I'll be the first one to say, hey, you got to do this, man. Go train with those guys. There's the only way you're going to become a world champion. You know?
Yeah. I've had a lot of that where I've had people contact me from other gyms, and usually my first thing that I tell them is I tell them that they need to talk to their coach, because a lot of times it's a misunderstanding, or they just need a clarification. Like, a coach just needs to know what your goals are. A lot of times it gets resolved. I'm like, you need to go talk to your coach, because you most likely can work this out. I mean, they've invested in you this long, you know, but then there's circumstances where somebody relocates, or, you know, they just want to do a different type of martial art or a different style. But my first thing is, you know, you need to talk to your coach, make sure he knows what's going on, handle that appropriately, because, you know, that can sometimes cause just other problems, you know, when that stuff starts happening.
Like I told you before, for me, the master is not only for how many degrees you have in your belt. Okay, the master is the attention that you give to your student, the advice and the care that you give to your student. If it goes beyond the mat, you know, to change his life, that's what the masters do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many degrees you have. Your degrees, say you're a master, well, you just have the distance between you and your student, just give them the technique and walk away. You're not a master. Okay?
Like that.
That's why people are coming back. You know, when you really understand the philosophy, okay, you change the gym, but you don't change your master. You can train anywhere. Look at Scott. You know, how many people wants to have a Scott in his gym? Because he's famous, because he's an actor, because, you know, they look good. You can put a picture on Instagram with Scott. Say, Scott came to train with me. You know, but he knows where's his house. He knows where's his family. He always come back. And that's what I expect.
Yeah, that's really profound information, you know, about just relationships and pouring into others. Truly a reflection of your leadership and what you've accomplished with your association, and just dedicating your entire life to being a true educator of people, whether it be for just jiu-jitsu or just them being better at life. Which, you know, like you said earlier, you're like, it's not about the medals and the victories and the championships. It's about making people better. And I really do feel like that's the sign of a true master coach, is somebody that has dedicated their lives to improving others, which you have definitely done. And I really appreciate the time you spent with me today. This was really interesting. I mean, I'm going to go back and be taking notes. Is there anything you'd like to finish with today?
Yes. First thing, of course, I'd like to thank all of my masters. Without them, I'll be nothing. You know, Master Alfredo Dornelles from Judo, you know, Master Geraldo Bernardes from Judo, you know, Master Mansour, of course, the man, you know, Álvaro Mansour, Francisco Mansour, and the whole Kyoto team, the guys that helped to build me, you know, the fighter and the teacher that I am now, you know, University Castelo Branco, University Gama Filho, you know, that's where I came from, you know, so you can't forget your roots, you can't forget your history. You can't forget where you come from. If I am the man that I am now, it's because of them, because my family, of course, my mom, my dad, you know, my whole family, you know, so this is the most important. Don't forget where you come from, and don't forget the people who are there for you, always there for you. We forgot something very important, okay? And this time now with coronavirus,
Yes.
okay, people are going crazy, people are losing their mind, they can't go to the gym and train. Okay, that's another thing that you learn from the martial arts, the resilience and the never give up. Look, I had a video, I made a video about that. You know what the first thing you learn in judo? You learn how to fall. Okay, before you learn how to throw, you learn how to fall. Okay, and every time you fall, what you have to do is get up and try again. If somebody throw you 10 times, you got to get up 10 times and try again and again and again. Or you give up. It's up to you. Okay. First thing you learn in jiu-jitsu, you learn how to tap. Say, look, somebody's squeezing you, you can't get up, you know, things get tight, lights going off, you should tap. When your arm hurts, you tap, or your opponent's going to break your arm. Okay, so you learn how to lose, and then you learn how to win. The first year as a white belt is the worst year. You just got your ass kicked, you beat nobody, you know, but it's up to you if you're gonna keep going or you're gonna quit, okay? So that's all we learn from the martial arts and bring to our lives. Now we are tapping to coronavirus. Now he's taking us down. And what are we going to do? We come back stronger. It's the only way. There's no other way. Don't even think about it. There's no other way. It's only one way. You got to keep coming back. Not so long ago, Mr. Gary Lopez, you heard about Gary Lopez? Or are you too young for that?
Yeah.
Gary Lopez is a legendary Hawaiian surfer, right? And he was saying, I love to surf, I love snowboarding, okay, like Scott, okay? Sometimes you're on the outline waiting for the waves and the big set come way far out and then wash out everybody, beat up everybody on the line up. It's up to you if you're gonna keep your pedal out and pass through that hard time, really hard time. People who surf know what I'm talking about, okay? And to enjoy the best wave, the wave of your life, that's make your day better, okay? That you're really gonna enjoy it, or you just turn around and pedal back to the shore. It's up to you, okay? So that's how we learn it, that's how we do it, and that's how we deal with the coronavirus. Okay,
Absolutely.
so we keep strong, okay? We don't give up. You know, I call my students, I talk to them, I send them videos. I keep them free. They want to talk to me. They need somebody to talk. Can call me my personal number anytime. Can call me anytime. Then I'll be there for them. I'll be there for anyone, even if you're not my student. Okay, so keep strong, keep healthy. It's all gonna pass, and we're going back to the gym as soon as possible. Okay,
Awesome.
for the gym owners, hey, I'm in the situation now, and I have to talk to my student. Actually, today's the day, you know, to do the payment. They pay for something that they don't have it now, and some of them get hurt financially. You know, they can't afford it. So if you can afford it, support your gym, support your coach, support your master. You know, do your part. Actually, the gym has to do the parts as well. For my part, what am I doing? For every student who paid the monthly fee without classes, I will give it back in a private class. Okay, when they open the gym again, all of them have a credit with me with a private class. When the gym opens again, if a student loses the job or has no money, come back and training anyways. Money is not the most important. If you lose your job or you can't afford to pay your kids jiu-jitsu, you know, I invite my students to come back and train anyways. I know how jiu-jitsu is important for their lives, you know, and then I'm here to give them my support as well. Okay, so this is my advice for all of you guys in this time of the coronavirus.
Well, that was very heartfelt, and I think that that's some very good advice and perspective to give everyone because it is a difficult time. A lot of people are struggling trying to figure out what to do, what's going to happen, and I think that your influence and your words are going to help ground a lot of people to kind of get them back on track and be focused that they know there's hope that we're going to make through this. So I definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
By the way, thank you very much to give me space, you know, to talk and, you know, and to show people what I do, you know, that who I am and what I do and how I do. You know, that's what you get when you go to Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu Club. That's what you're going to get.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. I hope you have a great day, and we'll definitely be in touch soon.
Thank you very much. Be safe.